In order to graph a rational function without technology, we need to know two things. We need to know where the asymptote is, and we need to know what the graph looks like on each side of that. So these are two functions from the previous example. In A, we'd already found the asymptote was at 2, which means we can't actually find a y-coordinate if we plug in 2 for x. In order to get an accurate read on the shape, we need 3 points on either side of the asymptote. So I'm just going to count back, 1, 0, -1, and then go 3, 4, 5. To find the y-coordinate, it's just a matter of plugging in the value. So if we go for 1, f of 1, 3 times 1 plus 7, over 4 times 1 minus 8 gives us 10 over -4, and because we're graphing, we'll take it to a decimal, -2.5. Continue the process. It's simple calculation, so we'll save some time. I'll just fill in the blanks. For an x value of 0, we get -0.9. -1 gives us -0.3. X value of 3 outputs a 4. A 4 outputs a 2.4. And a 5 outputs a 1.8. In order to get an accurate view of the shape of the graph, we do need those 3 points on either side. So to graph this out, the asymptote at 2 is actually a vertical dotted line at 2 on the x-axis. And an asymptote is a line which the graph can never touch. It can get really close to it, it can hug it, but think of it like your little brother or sister putting their finger in your face saying, "I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you." It's exactly what an asymptote is. Put the points down. I'm going to go on the left side first. So we have a point at 1 and -2.5. 0 and -0.9. Try to be as precise as possible there. And -1 and -0.3. My points aren't drawn really well. The iPad isn't cooperative with that kind of precision that well, but it's close enough that we can illustrate the point. What a graph does as it goes towards an asymptote is it hugs it. It will not do this. It will not go through those points straight through the asymptote because the graph can never touch the asymptote. What it will do is it will curve down in this case, and as it goes away from the asymptote, it will actually level off. Doing the right side of the asymptote, we had a point at 3, 4, a point at 4 and 2.4, and a point at 5 and 1.8. On this side of the asymptote, the graph will curve up as it goes towards it and level off as it goes away from it. B, same idea. We had asymptotes from the last section at -0.5 and 3. And this table isn't quite big enough. We need a few more lines here, because we actually have 3 sides of this graph, if you will. We have the left side, left of -0.5, the right side to the right of 3, and the middle that's between those two asymptotes. So again, we need to pick points. I'm just going to count back, -1, -2, -3. In the middle, we'll go 0, 1, 2. And on the right, we'll go 4, 5, 6. And again, it's just a matter of plugging these points in. We'll fill them in. Now, if you look at the y values, nothing goes over 1 or -1, so to make this a little bit easier to draw, I'm going to make the scale on the y-axis go to 1 and -1. It's nice because there's 10 ticks on either side, so each tick is now worth 0.1. It'll just make my job a little easier drawing this out on the iPad. So again, we have two asymptotes, one at -0.5. Try to draw that as close as I can. Second asymptote at 3. Put our points down. At -1, we're at 0.3. At -2, we're at 0. At -3, we're at -0.03. What we can see from this pattern of points is that the graph will curve up as it goes towards that asymptote, like so. I'll do the right side before I do the middle. At 4, we're at 0.7. At 5, we're at 0.3. And at 6, we're at 0.2. And again, this graph will curve up in towards the asymptote. As for the middle, this has to hug the asymptotes on both sides, so it could make a parabola-like shape. It could start low and end high, or start high and end low. The points, this is why we need 3 points to tell us exactly what's going on. So at 0, we're at -0.7. At 1, we're at -0.5. And at 2, we're at -0.8. So looking at those 3 points, that makes kind of a parabola-like shape. It'll be going down, hugging the asymptotes in both directions, just like that.